Good afternoon, I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. The headlines. Opposition walk out in protest from an ECZ stakeholders meeting over prisoners' vote. Chief SAMUZIMU of MUFUMBWE district likens road in his chiefdom to fish ponds. Details coming through after this.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444-726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
And now the maiden news in detail. Sub-Chief SAMUZIMU of Kapipupu area of MUFUMBWE district in the northwestern province is disappointed with the neglect of roads in his chiefdom. The chief wonders why the people of his area have been left out on the developmental agenda of the country when others are being given development. The sub-chief was speaking when former MUFUMBWE Member of Parliament Stephen Musumba paid a courtesy call on him at his palace. Mr. Musumba has also expressed concern at the bad state of the roads and other projects in the area. Mr. Musumba calls on politicians to pay attention to the challenges people are facing in their various locations. Details coming through in this report.
Former MUFUMBWE Member of Parliament Stephen Musumba is back in the district for a series of programs. The former lawmaker has since paid a courtesy call on Sub-Chief SAMUZIMU of Kapipupu area of MUFUMBWE district in the northwestern province. During the meeting, a number of developmental issues were raised by both parties.
I'm one of the people that still feel aggrieved because it looks like from the time that I left office as a area member of parliament, it looks like just from the same day I was booted out, the development also has stalled. And I was just looking at the road network that comes from Kalengwa to where we are today, how pathetic it is. I really sympathize with you, Bamfum Kwamba. I think as political leaders, we need to pay much attention to what is prevailing in your area.
The chief was more concerned about the dilapidated roads in his area, which he likened to fish ponds.
I'm very thankful you have mentioned about our cry over the fish pond for Chief SAMUZIMU. You have seen it yourself. And those have been years. It's not a bad road, but they have called them fish ponds or dams for Chief SAMUZIMU when these roads comes flooded. That one for your information, if we had money, we suppose even, or we are still organizing, seeing that we are suffering and we are the only people who are suffering. And then we have mentioned it, we are looking for money, maybe to give fuel to the national service to come and assess the road. This is what we are struggling, just to have a 2,500. They'll come and assess the road. After assessing the road, we hear how much it will cost for fuel, so that maybe they can come and mend it. That is where we have reached, because this year it will be worse now. Just once which has rained, what we have seen is terrible. What about when we reach in December? We shall be all 100% cut off.
The chief further calls for unity among politicians if development is to be achieved.
These spirits, if they will develop in MUFUMBWE to dialogue to each other, it will help, and then we can develop MUFUMBWE. But if we continue, no cooperation, no unity, we promote just tribalism, then nothing we are going to do. Being as a senior Chitimbanfumu, we have reached my paras, and I'm very happy, and you should not end up here, you should continue.
Mr. Musumba is later expected to hold meetings over the controversial Kalengwa mine, which the people have for a long time been crying for its reopening.
You had won election in Kalengwa because of the certain things you have promised over the Kalengwa mine. If really Shiko, you give them a go-ahead to open that mine. Even the Kalengwa people who voted for you, they'll be very happy. But if you are going to disappoint us, it will be very tough for us to implement into 2021 elections. It will be tough for us to convince people once again.
Kalan Uchima reporting.
In other news, National Democratic Congress NDC President Chishimba Kambwili has appeared in the Lusaka Magistrate Court in a matter where he is facing 35 counts. Among the charges leveled against Mr. Kambwili include the making of a document without authority, 1 count of uttering false documents, 2 counts of obtaining pecuniary advantage by false pretense, and a charge of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. But when the matter came up before Magistrate Mwaka Mikalile, a state witness told the court that he was not aware under the circumstances. Anti-Corruption Commission ACC brought the matter to court as the Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA never gave a position to confirm if a tax clearance certificate of Mwamona Engineering Company was forged.
This morning, opposition leader for National Democratic Congress, Chishimba Kambwili, appeared before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court in company of his 2 lawyers who had withdrawn from representing him last week. Keith Mwemba and Gilbert Piri last week withdrew in 2 different courts from representing Kambwili in a matter where he is charged with contempt of court and defamation of the president. And when he appeared before Magistrate Mwaka Mikalile this morning, evidence produced by a state witness from Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, showed that no record was found to show that Kambwili's company, Mwamona Engineering, had obtained its tax clearance certificate. Testifying in a case in which Kambwili, his son Mwamba Chishimba, 2 Zambia Revenue Authority officials and Mwamona Engineering and Technical Services Limited are facing charges of possessing more than 6 million kwacha, preparing a false document, obtaining pecuniary advantage and altering a false document. Obet Kangwa, a Lusaka administrator at ZRA, testified that he was not in a position to say if the tax clearance certificate by Mwamona Engineering Company was forged. The witness also confirmed with the court about the tax compliance by Mwamona Engineering. According to the allegations, Kambwili and Mwamona Engineering Company presented a false ZRA tax clearance certificate to ZESCO, purporting that it was genuinely issued, resulting in the award of a contract of 8 million for the construction of houses and toilets under the Luze hydropower project, thereby obtaining pecuniary advantage of the contract. The 5 accused are said to have allegedly committed the offences between February 2014 and September 2017 in Lusaka and Copperbelt Province. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Zambia opposition political parties had walked out of its stakeholders meeting called by the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ to discuss the prison vote. Speaking to Camnet TV after the walkout, Golden Progressive Party President Jackson Silavwe has accused the commission of duping the political parties by changing the agenda of the meeting to something else. Among the political parties that walked out include the National Democratic Congress NDC, the Opposition United Party for National Development UPND, the Socialist Party and the People's Alliance for Change PAC. Details in the following report.
What started as a peaceful consultative meeting on the prison's vote Monday morning ended up like a tug of war, exchange of opinions without agreeing, and others later walking out of the meeting after failing to agree. In June, the Electoral Commission of Zambia announced that following the case of Godfrey Malembeka versus Attorney General and ECZ, the court ruled that the prisoners had the right to vote. In fulfilling this ruling, ECZ is in the process of consultations to see how best the voting can be done in the prisons. Monday, ECZ, with its cooperating partners, convened a 2-day meeting aimed at reviewing the contents of the proposed draft bills on the electoral processes and looking at the findings from comparative studies on prisons vote in Kenya, Lesotho, South Africa, and Namibia. But this agenda, according to political stakeholders, is foreign and forced them to walk out, accusing the Commission of imposing the bills on them. Golden Party President Jackson Silavwe says ECZ did not consult them on the matter being discussed.
Yes, we acknowledge that the court judgment is there. we cannot go against the court. But on how that process is implemented, how that vote is implemented, I think it's purely a technical issue involving consensus generation by all stakeholders. There has never been. All that has been there is where ECZ bulks commands to us and we are supposed to listen. That is not democracy. Democracy is about give and take. It's about us conceding. It's about us agreeing that this is how we are going to have it implemented. Because if we are not careful, this one particular issue can become a source of conflict prior and during and after the elections, because we felt that that vote only favored one or two persons. It should not be. So when we come to electoral processes, every voice must count, especially us, the political parties, who will be implementing the same court judgment to ensure that the prisoners get to vote. So we walked out of this meeting because we feel that we are dealing with an electoral commission of Zambia that is not listening. Until they start listening, there's going to be a standoff between the political parties and ECZ. That is a position at the moment.
Among the political parties that walked out of the meeting include United Party for National Development and the National Democratic Congress Party, who also added their voice.
Which wanted these people to answer to us before we go into this one.
Yes.
Giving us an example of South Africa, that South Africa is happening. It can't work in Zambia because in South Africa, the people who appoints the Commissioner General of Prisons is not the president. Here in Zambia, it's a president. Now, if the political parties are not allowed to go and campaign in Chimbwakaira there, do you know what it is? Then we're not going to have a polling agent, because we need to have polling agents inside, okay? But also, suppose the Commissioner General is given instructions by the appointing authority to say, can you just vote for all these prisoners? Who's going to monitor our votes there?
If you look at in the other countries where it's happening, there's a lot of voter apathy from the prisons, because we find a situation whereby most prisoners, because they are repeat offenders, they don't give out their real names. And they did say that even in Zambia it's happening. Because somebody has committed too many cases, they are scared to say their real names. They gave us a critical and real example of Kenya, where they said right now in Kenya there are 80,000 prisoners in 97 prisons, okay? And only 5,000 are registered voters. And from the 5,000, only 30% registered to vote in the last elections. So do the math. That's below 3,000 voters out of 80,000, you know? So at the end of the day, in Zambia, because we are dealing with a government that we don't even trust because of the way they treat us as opposition political parties, in Zambia you're going to find that maybe 70,000 prisoners, they'll tell us 69,000 voted, only one prisoner did not vote.
Meanwhile, the Prisons Care and Counseling Association Executive Director Godfrey Malembeka has pleaded with what one may call rebel participants to come back to the meeting and add their voice.
I think they walked out too early, because we still had the chance to go and debate those same submissions they were making there in our group. And so tomorrow the whole day we've given that day to ourselves for just discussing in the plenary. We should have agreed to disagree in the main plenary after discussing in the groups. That's number one. Number two, this judgment has taken 3 years. We expected political parties to join ECZ, to join the Attorney General in arguing against us as petitioners if some people did not want prisoners to vote. That did not take place. That did not take place. Now, my appeal to all these political parties is that we need them, because we should not sacrifice the voters. We should not sacrifice inmates in this argument.
This is the first time Zambia is initiating the prisons vote, and every step is important to ensure that correct things are done. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
That item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Midday News, but before we go, the headlines once again. Opposition walk out in protest from an ECZ stakeholders meeting of a prisons vote. Chief SAMUZIMU of MUFUMBWE district likens roads in his chiefdom to fish ponds. Well, that is all. Make a date with us this evening on our main bulletin news desk at 19:30. Connect with us on social media, Camnet TV Facebook, Camnet TV Africa on Instagram. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Have a beautiful afternoon.